The process of fishermen going out to sea to catch shrimp and fish on primitive wooden boats, especially when catching hundreds of tons, usually includes the following steps. Check and maintain the boat. Ensure the engine and machinery systems are working well. Prepare enough food, drinking water, fuel, and fishing support tools such as nets, cables, hooks. Determine the time and place to go out to sea based on weather forecasts and shrimp and fish seasons. Fishermen often go in groups on a large wooden boat. They depart from the port or fishing wharf. The journey out to sea can last from a few days to a few weeks, depending on the distance and fish source. The boat moves to distant seas, where there are many large fish or valuable seafood such as shrimp. Using nets, the nets used are large nets that can be dropped into the deep sea. When the boat moves, the net is pulled along, catching large fish and shrimp. Netting technique: the net is usually released in an arc shape. Surrounding a large area to catch a large amount of fish. After encircling, the net is slowly pulled up to prevent the fish from escaping. Pulling the net. This is a hard stage, requiring close coordination between fishermen to pull the entire net onto the boat. Fish and shrimp will be gathered on the deck of the boat. After being pulled up, large fish and shrimp will be classified right on the boat. Species with high value will be processed quickly, preserved by ice to keep them fresh. Species of fish with low economic value can be kept or released back to the sea. After catching enough expected amount of shrimp and fish, the boat will return to port for consumption. Shrimp and fish will be brought ashore, distributed to wholesale markets. Processing factories are exported. This process requires fishermen to have experience, high skills, along with good prediction of weather and sea currents to achieve high fishing productivity. The way fishermen catch fish and shrimp, especially when using wooden boats and rudimentary tools, is a complex and highly skilled process. Here are details of the main methods used to catch fish and shrimp. Seine netting is a common method of catching fish, especially large fish such as mackerel and tuna. The process involves: drop the net. The fisherman identifies the area where there is a school of fish, usually based on experience, using a fish finder or observing signs such as the movement of seabirds. The net is then dropped from the boat in a large circle around the school of fish. Pulling the net is gradually narrowed to enclose the school of fish. This requires coordination between the fishermen to keep the net in place and pull the net so that the fish do not escape. Harvesting. Once the net is fully pulled onto the boat, the fishermen will harvest the fish, sort and preserve them. A gill net is a thin net that can be set free or fixed in one place for a long time, helping to catch fish such as hairtail, mullet, herring. Drop the net. Fishermen drop the net along the current or at places where fish often swim. The net has a moderate mesh size so that fish will get stuck when swimming through. Retrieving the net. After a while, the net will be pulled up, along with the fish that have been caught in the net. Pulling the net requires care to avoid damaging the net. Trawling is a traditional method, often used to catch large fish such as tuna. This process includes: drop the line. Fishermen use a long fishing line. Attach a hook with an attractive bait to drop it into the sea. Check and pull the line when the fish bites the hook. The line will be pulled up to the boat. The fishing technique requires dexterity, because large fish often resist very strongly. Fish handling: large fish will be handled right on the boat. Can be cut into pieces or kept whole to keep fresh. Bottom trawling is the most common method of catching shrimp, especially black tiger shrimp and white leg shrimp. This process includes: bottom trawling. The net is lowered and dragged along the seabed. Where shrimp often live, the net has small holes to catch shrimp as they swim or move along the bottom. Trawling: after a period of time, the net will be pulled up to the boat. This process needs to be done slowly so as not to lose shrimp or damage the net. Harvesting: shrimp are sorted right on the boat. Large, valuable shrimp will be stored separately by ice or frozen immediately to keep fresh. Shrimp traps are a traditional and manual method of catching shrimp, often used in shallow waters, lagoons or estuaries. Setting the trap. Shrimp traps are usually made of bamboo, rattan or plastic, with a structure so that shrimp can enter but not exit. The trap is placed at the bottom of the water, where shrimp tend to swim. Checking the trap. After setting the trap for a few hours to a few days, fishermen will check and harvest the shrimp that have been caught. Processing: shrimp caught from the trap are usually sorted and stored immediately to maintain quality, preserving shrimp and fish on the boat immediately after harvesting. Fish and shrimp are usually iced on the boat to keep them fresh throughout the fishing process. There are often containers or storage compartments on the boat for rapid cooling. Transporting to shore: after catching enough quantity, the boat will return to port. Here, shrimp and fish will be distributed to fish markets, processing plants or exported. The process of catching shrimp and fish, whether by hand or using equipment, requires precision in choosing the time and location, along with the ability to read the marine environment and currents of the fishermen to achieve the highest efficiency. The way fishermen cast nets to catch fish is one of the most traditional and popular methods in coastal areas. This process requires high technique and many years of practical experience to ensure effective harvesting. There are many different types of nets used, each suitable for different fish species and environmental conditions. Below is a detailed description of the main netting techniques. A gill net is a medium-sized net that is either free-floating or fixed to stakes on the seabed. The net is designed to allow fish to swim into it and become trapped when they try to escape. The main parts of a net include float line, the upper part of the net, with buoys attached to help the net float on the water surface. Lead line, the lower part of the net is attached to lead to help the net sink and keep the net taut when dropped into the water. Mesh, made from thin wire, with mesh size suitable for the target fish species. Preparation: fishermen prepare the net and choose a location to set the net. Usually areas with strong currents, near coral reefs or where fish often gather to feed. Drop the net. The gill net is slowly dropped from behind the boat. During the drop, the boat moves slowly along the current so that the net stretches over a wide area. The buoys at the top keep the net afloat, while the lead holds the net at the bottom, forming a horizontal wall in the water that is difficult for fish to avoid. Keeping the net in the water, the net is usually kept underwater for a few hours to allow fish to swim in and become entangled in the mesh. For some larger fish, it may be necessary to keep the net overnight. Pulling the net. After enough time has passed, the fishermen will begin to pull the net up. They usually pull the net slowly to prevent fish from escaping or damaging the net. During the pulling process, the entangled fish will be removed and harvested. Harvesting: the fish caught in the net will be sorted right on the boat. Large fish will be kept, while small or unmarketable fish will be released back into the sea. Can be used on a variety of terrain and currents. Effective in catching fish that swim in the middle and near the surface of the water. Disadvantages: vulnerable to damage if they collide with the seabed or coral reefs. Large fish can escape from the mesh if the net is not checked in time. A purse seine is usually larger than a gill net, designed to encircle a large school of fish and pull them onto the boat. This type of net is popular for catching fish such as mackerel. Tuna and mackerel. A purse seine consists of two main parts: the long and deep body of the net, creating a large wall in the water; the drag line, used to pull the net after encircling the school of fish, helping to narrow the space and catch fish effectively. Preparation: before dropping the net, fishermen must determine the location of the school of fish through traditional observation methods, such as looking at the movement of seabirds, or modern means, using a fish finder. Drop the net. After determining the location of the school of fish, the purse seine is quickly dropped around the school. The boat runs around the school of fish, letting the net form a circle around them. The net can be hundreds of meters long, and the bottom of the net is held by a lead line to ensure that the fish do not escape through the bottom. Dragging the net. After the school of fish has been surrounded, the fisherman begins to narrow the net by pulling the line to gradually reduce the space. Trapping the fish in the net. This process must be done quickly to avoid the fish escaping. Harvesting. Once the net has been pulled close to the boat, the fish will be concentrated in a small area and the fisherman will begin to scoop the fish onto the boat. The fish are sorted and preserved immediately after harvesting. A large number of fish can be caught in one pull, suitable for large schools of fish that often move in the middle water layer. Disadvantages: requires multiple fishermen to control the net and boat during the pulling process. the school of fish is not concentrated, the netting may not be effective. Bottom nets are nets designed to be lowered and lie close to the seabed. To catch bottom-dwelling fish and seafood such as grouper, flounder, shrimp, and crab, bottom nets have a stronger bottom with lead lines to keep the net still on the seabed. Are released from the boat and along the seabed. The net can be secured by placing stakes in the bottom or allowed to move freely with the current. Holding the net, the bottom net is usually held for a period of time ranging from a few hours to a few days. Depending on the species of fish or seafood the fisherman wants to catch. Dragging the net, after enough time, the net is pulled up. The pulling process must be done carefully to avoid damaging the net and ensure maximum harvest. Suitable for catching species that live on the seabed. Can hold the net for a long time without constant guarding. Disadvantages. It is easy to get caught on rocks or coral reefs, damaging the net. The pulling process is quite hard and requires a lot of effort. Conclusion. The technique of setting the net requires the sophistication and experience of the fisherman. From choosing the right type of net, determining the time and location of the net, to harvesting, different netting methods have their own advantages and are applied according to each fish species. Terrain and weather conditions. The commercial value of fishing and shrimp, especially through netting methods, plays an important role in the coastal economy of many countries. Factors such as the species of seafood caught, the scale of operation, and the preservation method will greatly affect the commercial value. Below is a detailed analysis of the aspects that create commercial value in this field. Fish. Fish species with high commercial value are usually tuna, mackerel, scad, grouper, herring and other specialty fish. Ocean tuna is one of the fish with the highest commercial value, especially in the Japanese, American, and European markets. Tuna is widely used in sushi and sashimi dishes. Mackerel. These fish are often caught in large quantities and have stable value in the domestic and export markets. Shrimp. Shrimp is one of the most valuable commodities in the seafood industry. Pigtail shrimp and white leg shrimp, these are two main shrimp species for export. Especially in Southeast Asian countries such as Vietnam and Thailand, the export value of shrimp can be very high, depending on the quality and market demand. Lobster. This type of shrimp has extremely high commercial value, often exported to luxury markets and high-end restaurants. Other seafood species such as crab. Crab, squid, and octopus also have great commercial value, especially when exported to markets in Japan, Korea, and China. Large scale, for large-scale fleets and modern fishing technology. Harvesting hundreds of tons of seafood in one trip can bring huge profits. This is especially important in seasonal fishing campaigns where fishermen can take advantage of the abundance of seafood. Small scale, fishermen working on primitive wooden boats often have small smaller catches. But the commercial value is still high if they know how to choose the right time and the seafood has economic value. Preservation technology. To maximize the commercial value, preserving seafood immediately after catching is an important factor. Fishermen often use ice and freezing measures right on the boat to ensure the freshness of the seafood. Well-preserved seafood can retain high quality and sell for better prices in the market, especially when exporting. If seafood is damaged or not preserved properly, the commercial value will decrease sharply. Quality certification. Seafood products that are certified as food safety, organic or sustainably caught will have higher commercial value, especially in demanding markets such as Europe and North America. Domestic market. In many countries, seafood has always been an important part of traditional cuisine. The commercial value of caught products in the domestic market is also stable, especially in coastal areas. Export. Seafood exports are one of the major sources of foreign exchange for coastal countries. Major export markets include Japan. The demand for fresh seafood, especially tuna and squid, is very high. Europe. Frozen and processed seafood products such as shrimp and canned fish are consumed strongly. United States. High-end seafood, such as lobster, tiger prawns and specialty fish, are popular in high-end restaurants and supermarkets. Sustainable fishing. With the growth of the sustainable and environmentally friendly food consumption movement, sustainably caught seafood products are increasingly gaining higher commercial value. Businesses and fishermen who use fishing techniques that are less harmful to the marine environment, such as using large mesh nets to avoid catching juvenile fish, will have a competitive advantage. MSC, Marine Stewardship Council, certification. This is an international certification for sustainable fishing. MSC certified products often command higher prices, especially in developed markets. Fishing season. The commercial value of seafood can vary seasonally. During peak seasons, when fish and shrimp are abundant, prices may be lower due to abundant supply. Conversely, during times of scarcity, seafood prices may increase, especially for rare species. Economic situation and market demand. The demand for seafood can be affected by the global economic situation. During difficult economic times, the demand for high-end seafood may decrease, reducing commercial value. Conclusion. The commercial value of seafood, especially through the net method, depends not only on the quantity of seafood caught but also on the species, quality, preservation methods, and consumption markets. Fishermen can maximize commercial value by improving their fishing techniques, preservation, and effective access to consumption markets.